My name's Dr. Gene Frost, and I need to tell you that we have been planning and praying for this night for over 5 years. And so it's exciting to finally be here. I need to recognize a few people. First of all, I want to thank the volunteer committee that put this night together. Would you thank them with me? I also want to thank our school board that has helped plan this event and been praying and putting this together for those 5 years with me, along with our foundation board, and also our Science Advisory Council that has had input into every stage of the building that you are actually sitting or standing in. Some didn't know that the Christmas tree lights all the way around is the outline of the building. The building will be attached at the east end here by the staircase, and then it'll also attach here on the south end at the library and be an L-shaped building including 6 state-of-the-art science labs along with 4 science rooms. And we're just so excited that you're a part of tonight and this launch. I'd like to just make one more introduction. 2 special people are chairing the committee that's going to raise the money for this event, and they're from our board. The co-chairs of our fundraising committee are Matt Litvin and Scott Pearson, right here. I want to thank them and recognize them. And many of the board members that I just mentioned will be up in a minute when we launch our lanterns. So we'll talk to you about that in just a second. Let me just make a few comments about the upcoming campaign. The upcoming campaign will take us 3 years, and our goal is to raise $10 million. $7 million will be involved in building the building that we envision here tonight, and you can see on the boards behind me. But the real reason we're doing it is not just to put up another building. The real reason we're doing it is so that young people can do science. 60% of the future jobs are going to be science and math related, and only 20% of our young people will be able to take those jobs. Wheaton Academy has done a wonderful job in the fine arts, a wonderful job in co-curricular activities and on the athletic fields. We've academically done a wonderful job in the soft sciences and the social sciences. We now want to be just as excellent in the hard sciences and prepare our kids for the future. Not just for the jobs, but for leadership in those jobs. I'm just going to make one illustration of how desperate this need is. We have 662 kids. We have 1 fully equipped lab which would fit under this tree that 660 kids have to share. When we're done with this project, we'll have 6 labs and 4 science rooms that are as big as where you're sitting for kids to do science. Some of you saw the drone that was flying above. One of our kids put that together and asked if he could take pictures of the event tonight. Our kids want to do science if we give them a place to do science. And I have a very special guest tonight who has been helping us this past year put the program together and will tell you a little bit of his vision. Bob Grimm was the Illinois Teacher of the Year and is now head of our master program, Math, Applied Science, Technology, Engineering, and Research. Please welcome Bob Grimm to tell you a little bit about our program.
Thank you, Gene. First of all, I have to tell you, like Gene mentioned, I am relatively new to the Wheaton Academy community. And I have to say, community is really one of the most spectacular things that you have here. The community at Wheaton Academy is unique, extraordinary, and I just don't know if you appreciate what a remarkable group you really are. And I want to thank you for letting me in. I do appreciate it. First of all, I want to ask how many of the, well, let's just say older people attended Wheaton Academy? Not the students right now, but the older people. How many attended here before? Yeah, it's nice to see. A lot of people attended Wheaton Academy, and now you're sending your students here. And I think, really, when you think about it, that shows a strength of community that is unique. You say, I want my child to have the same experience I did. Well, actually, my dream is that they have an even better experience in science than you did. We are looking at the master program, and what I wanted to do today is tell you a little bit about the master program and really let you in on the ground floor of what it is. As Gene mentioned, it stands for Math, Applied Science, Technology, Engineering, and Research. But really what the master program is about is curiosity. We are trying to trigger, develop, and help the students become curious about their world, because curiosity will lead to creativity. And I have a couple of stories that I wanted to share with you about how that has happened over the past few months that I've been here. I don't know, how many people here know Ken Ellis? Raise your hand if you know Ken. Yeah, everybody, I know Ken. Everybody knows Ken because Ken is one of our more senior members. In fact, when I first came here, somebody told me that Ken built the Whitechapel. Is that right? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, Ken and I were talking about how do we create a situation where the students will really start to become curious. And really we're hoping they go from curious to creative. So as we talked, he said, you know, we really ought to explore in our environmental science unit, we ought to explore the North 9. There's 9 acres north of the school that really is a natural area. And Ken said, you know, maybe we could take a look at that and really take a look and find out what's living in there. So he got some cameras that are infrared cameras, so they flash in the infrared at night when the animals are up. We went out there with the students. We strapped them to trees. We took these cameras. When an animal walks by, it takes its own picture. In fact, you can set it up so it takes a movie of itself. And we were very excited about the whole thing. We're out there and we're trying to tell the students, and a couple of interesting things happened while we were out there. We're trying to tell the students, be curious. And Ken is out there and he says, now, when you're out in the woods, you got to look around. You got to be an observer of things. And all the students are out here, and Ken is coaching them, you know, look. And the kids go, Mr. Ellis. And he says, just a minute, you got to be quiet or the animals won't show up. So just be, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Ellis. And he says, what? And they said, turn around. There was a deer standing about 30 yards away from him. He was the only one that hadn't seen it. Later, we went back, and I was surprised at this. I happened to be with a group of students, and a toad hops across our path. I was surprised how few students had actually held a toad. And so we all picked up the toad. I'm sure it traumatized the toad. But in any event, you know, the whole thing, be curious, start to look around. So over the weekend one time, we went and we strapped these cameras to the trees, and then picture this. The kids come back. They're so excited. What are we going to see? Mr. Ellis gets out the projector. He drops the SD card in and starts to show the picture. He says, oh, we got something here. And sure enough, saw a skunk. And then we saw a raccoon, squirrels, and birds. And I'm surprised this didn't make the newspaper. But in the middle of this thing, the kids are giggling for some reason. And there on the screen appears Yeti. Bigfoot. There is this Bigfoot on there going, like this. And then 2 members of the lacrosse team came out and started beating on him and things like that. Now, that's not the creativity we were necessarily going for in the experiment, but that curiosity about what's living in the North 9 turned into creativity that only high school kids can really come up with. And I just thought that really is what we're after. The other example I wanted to give you actually involves Val Gregerson. Val's here tonight. You can ask her about this. But Val got involved with Flavors of North America, a company nearby, and her statistics class decided that what they were going to do is they were going to help out this company. Now, FONA, it's called, said, you know, we're struggling because we always test flavors with different groups, and, you know, we pretty much test our employees, and our employees pretty much retire. And so we don't have any testing for people over 60 years old. Well, we told them, you know, we got a pretty good relationship with Windsor Park, and we probably could test the residents at Windsor Park. And so what happened was the students went over to FONA, they mixed the chemicals, brought the chemicals back, put them in trays and things like that, and then the creativity started. The students started to ask the question, well, you know, I guess age is important in checking flavor, and they were going to test the residents by sense of smell, but maybe there are other things going on, and I even wrote them down. They said, okay, age we'll check. How about male and female? Do you think it's possible that males are able to taste things better or worse than females? Students wanted to know. How about use of tobacco? Does that affect you and your sense of taste? The students came up with, what about where did you grow up in the United States or around the world? Does that affect your ability to taste things? And then they said, how about a major illness or surgery? Would that have an influence on your ability to taste? And finally, military service. Does military service have an influence on your ability to taste? Well, I have to tell you, the students then put together a survey to check these various things. And I was so pleased, honored in fact, to be able to stand there and watch the kids test the residents of Windsor Park, you know, folks that are 3 and 4 generations older than them. And you would have been so proud of them as they sat there and listened and thought about what it must have been like as the residents told them their story of growing up in a different part of the country, or serving in our military, or going through all the experiences they had that brought them to the place they are now. You see, curiosity brings creativity and ultimately will change things in the world. This summer, no exaggeration, FONA took that research and has added flavoring to nutraceuticals for older people so that they are more likely able to eat the things that are most nutritious for them, and it will taste good. I have to tell you, those stories are repeated again and again and again by this wonderful community. And again, I want to say thank you for letting me be part of it. Gene?
Thank you, Bob. I think you can see why we're excited that Bob is in charge of helping turbocharge our science program, but I want you to know that maybe you observed it. Do you know about his 2 examples he gave? Neither one took place in a science lab. He's having to be creative in the North 9 or over at Windsor Park, which is great, and we will continue to do, but we can't do science in a science room because we don't have them. So that's what this campaign's about. What we're going to do in just a minute, I'm going to give you some instructions. So listen carefully. I'm going to ask those that are going to help launch lanterns. This is a scientific concept of heat rising, right? Those who launch our lanterns come here and stand on the blacktop, and everyone else, let's go all the way around and make the perimeter of our new building.